Alright, let's talk about the tackle. And the first thing I'm going to tell you, keep it simple, stupid. We're fishing in 1,600 feet of water, 1,700 feet of water. And we want to remember to keep it simple. So we're going to go through the gear, we're going to talk about the tackle, a little bit about the rods. And I can't tell you enough, go back and watch the first one where you're going to get complete dissection of everything that I'm talking about. Real quick, and for this film, what you're looking at here, it's called the snakehead. It's actually a freshwater bait. It's a freshwater fish. We cut the bellies out, cut the bones out of it, and actually sew it together. It's what they call a Panama bait or a belly bait. So it's got some floss in it. Obviously got a relatively big hook in it. What you're looking at is a 10-0 7691S style hook. It's a stainless hook. Drives a little easier than a galvanized hook. Right here, if you take a look at that skirt, you've got floss. The actual floss is 50-pound rigging floss, and it's needled through the actual skirt that makes the bait more aerodynamic and holds it in place. So you've got the bait, you've got the hook, you've got the skirt that slides over the bait, and then you got your floss that holds it in place. As far as what you're looking at here is a crimp. Now this is 300-pound monofilament. I'm using about 6 or 8 feet of that, and that's the proper crimp for 300-pound test. Aluminum is what we use. We don't use a bronze crimp. Aluminum crimp is fine. 300-pound bite section on your leader. Now that 5 or 6 feet, I'm going to pull it over to you so you can take a look at it, is attached to a ball bearing swivel. If you can take a good look at that swivel, there is no snap swivel. Anytime you're dealing with swordfish, blue marlin, any giant big game fish, try to stay away from snap swivels. Last thing you need is one to open up. This right here is a 400-pound Momoy ball bearing swivel. There's your bite sections, 300-pound with the appropriate crimp. On the other end, here is a wind-on leader on my rod that I'm using, my hand crank rod. It's 250-pound test. Now, this is 150 feet long. You're going to see me in a second describe, as we're deploying a bait, how the connections are made. If you go back through the first film, you're going to see a cat's paw connection that you need to familiarize yourself with. You need to understand a bimini twist in braid. 40-turn bimini with an 8-turn finish knot. And that cat's paw that connects this wind-on leader to that braid needs to be 100% perfect. As far as the rods and reels themselves, hand cranking today, I'm using an 80. Okay, you're looking at it right here. Actually, you're probably looking at some writing as well. This tells me what I have on my reel. I have a lot of reels. I need to know exactly what I have on this reel for braid. Now this particular outfit has 1,200 yards of 65-pound braid on top of a bunch of other braid. The 65-pound is high visibility so we can actually see the line. In the hooker reel that we're going to show you next, it also has high visibility. When you're deep dropping in the daytime, whether you're electric reel fishing or whether you're manual hand crank, try to use high visibility line. It doesn't hurt for the bite. Either way, there's your rod and reel. 80 Tiagra is what I use. If you have a 50 and you're fishing shallower, that'd be fine, but an 80 is perfect. As far as the drag, if you look at the side of the spool here, you're going to see numbers there. What that means is when I push that lever to that certain line, I know exactly how much drag is there. So when you look at this reel, and as I'm fighting, you're going to see me fight a sword, and I'm going to be pushing the drag up, I'm going to be backing it off, I'm going to let them run. But if I don't pull my drags, meaning pulling the line out so I know exactly how much drag I have on the reel, you can end up having too much drag or not enough drag to lose the fish. So again, my manual hand crank is a Tiagra 80 wide as far as the rod goes. What you're looking at is a relatively short rod. It's about a 6-foot rod. It's got fast action, meaning it bends in the tip. So it bends in the tip, but it's got a lot of backbone on this end. So it's a little forgiving up there. These things start swatting. You're going to see this rod kind of buckle under the swat of a swordfish, and then it'll stop loading down in here. As far as the guides and stuff, real quick on this rod, you got a roller at the tip. You've got what's called a Winthrop top. Now that roller is actually built within the frame of the guide so that the braid cannot come off the top. All these other guides are ring guides. They're called silicone carbide guides. They're made for braid. That's what you want to use for daytime sword fishing rods. If you got all rollers, just be careful. This is the right rod, hand cranking for swordfish. Again, an 80, you don't know if your first one's going to be 80 pounds or 800. So just remember, I can catch an 800 pounder on that rod. As far as our downrigger rod, hooker electric is what we choose to use. That's this particular rod here. Now, hooker electric, what you're looking at here is a module, that motor that comes off. I can pull these pins and actually take this motor off the reel, making it a manual crank. For this film, we're using the hooker as the downrigger. We're using it so that we're going to take a 15-pound lead, drop it to the bottom, and be able to retrieve it. So we're going to leave this on today, the motor mechanism, and again, it's attached to an 80. Now this has the same braid. 65-pound test is what's on here, high visibility. This particular rod's up to 7 feet. It's got more ass to it. It's a heavier duty rod. You're going to be dropping 15 pounds to the bottom. I need a rod that doesn't fold over and bend. I need it to be a little more rigid. So that's what you're going to see there. As far as the gear here, I still keep my 150-foot, 250-pound wind on the actual reel itself, but then at the end of this particular reel, show you what you got. And this is where you need to pay attention. Here's your 250-pound that comes to a swivel, ball bearing swivel. Now, this is also 250-pound that runs to a clip. Now this clip, take a good look at it. That clip is called a diesel clip, made for Australian fishermen pulling giant baits. The reason we're using the red clip, diesel clip, because we can get a lot of pressure out of it. I can get 10, 12 pounds out of this clip, meaning if I tighten this screw and I snap this down, it's giving me a lot of tension to be able to open. A general black's clip, the black clips that you usually see on the outriggers, a lot of times aren't hardy enough or don't stand up to the salt and stuff when you drop this thing down 1,800 feet. So, again, there's your clip. We're going to set that clip at 10 pounds. So when I say that, I know that by pulling on this with a piece of floss and a scale, I can set this to release at 10 pounds. Down from that, you lift it up. There's your 15-pound lead. 15-pound lead right at the base, and it's crimped on to that 250-pound. Starting at the bottom again, round lead is the best. 250-pound, coming up 6 feet from that. There's your clip to your ball bearing swivel. That's the extent of it. Don't make it any more difficult than that. If I got these two outfits with the bait and the lead, we're good to go. You're going to see us do it now. That's the tackle side of it. You don't need anything else other than that. You're going to watch us catch one right here.